Several Balkan countries will be seeking reassurances from the European Union today as they meet in Slovenia to talk about their eventual acceptance into the bloc. The summit got underway yesterday and member states took the opportunity to discuss issues of foreign policy following the fallout from the Afghanistan withdrawal. But much of today's deliberations will be focused on calming the nerves of Western Balkan nations who have been waiting for years to be accepted into the EU. Talks of expanding the union have recently stalled. Before our correspondent in Slovenia joins us to discuss the summit, let's take a look at one of those countries hoping to join, Albania. Some EU members are cautious about Albania's membership due to the country's problems with drug trafficking and money laundering.
Albanian police searching for cannabis plantations near the capital Tirana. For decades, cannabis cultivation has been a huge problem in the small southeastern European country. So, 5 years ago, Albania declared a war on drugs. We meet with Raldi. His life changed completely when he was arrested on charges of selling narcotics. It was the worst day of my life when I saw my parents in court being ashamed of me. Nothing is worse than that. Raldi says he has only consumed cannabis, never sold it. But like many young people here, he suffers from a lack of economic opportunity. As a mechanic, Raldi only earns 500 euros a month, slightly above the average wage. All this while working 14 hours a day. All my friends who are trafficking drugs have nothing else to do. No jobs. They are doing this because they have no other perspective. We drive further north. Only one day earlier, a police officer was shot dead here, reportedly by a young drug offender. Despite the government crackdown, cannabis remains an issue here. According to the UN, Albania was the 6th largest supplier of cannabis to the world in 2019. Researcher Fadiona Medini says state structures facilitate drug trafficking and that, more recently, criminal groups have set their sights on cocaine.
With cannabis cultivation, they have created routes and they have created connections and networks in many European countries. And so they had the infrastructure. So now they wanted something that could make them rich quicker.
This 2020 footage by Europol shows the dismantling of one of Europe's most active Albanian cocaine networks. But others are still operating and could threaten the country's chances to enter the EU.
EU leaders approved the opening of accession talks with Albania in March 2020. But entering the EU is a long process. And some EU countries say Albania is not ready yet. Because of organized crime in the country, for example, drug trafficking, and because of corruption.
The government insists it has implemented reforms. Sef Mazi is leading negotiations with the EU.
Transportation of cannabis or drugs is not a national problem. This is an international problem. It is a big challenge, and we have to strengthen the cooperation with EU member states to improve.
The vast majority of Albanians say it's time for the EU to finally open its doors, but they probably will have to wait a while longer, as long as issues like drug trafficking remain so widespread.
Now let's bring in DW Brussels Bureau Chief Alexandra van Namen, who is standing by for us at that EU summit in Slovenia. Alexandra, 6 countries in the Western Balkans region want to become EU members. Is the door open for them or is it not?
Well, we have to say that this summit here in Slovenia is of symbolic importance and we are going to hear a lot of nice words, and I saw the draft declaration of this summit where EU leaders are expected to reaffirm their unequivocal support of the European perspective for those 6 Western Balkan partners. However, what is not going to be mentioned in this document and what those countries countries are really waiting for is a concrete date for their admission to the European Union. And that is, of course, for them very disappointing. It's not only about the reforms that still need to be implemented, it's also about the EU itself, with many member states saying that the European Union is not capable right now of integrating new members.
So if these countries don't become EU members, what happens next?
Well, they are already looking for potential new partners and critics here. And also some member states are saying that further delays are going to open the door to greater Chinese and Russian influence. And the Greek Prime Minister, for example, said that the Western Balkans are at risk of becoming a hotbed for new problems. So for the EU leaders, they are aware that there is a lot of at stake, however, not ready to commit to a concrete date. But what they are promising is more help, for example, to fight the coronavirus pandemic, and also a massive economic development and investment package that is going to be offered to the Western Balkan partners here in Slovenia.
Alexandra, this is the second day of that summit. What did they discuss yesterday?
Well, a lot of issues. One important issue that was at the top of the agenda was the future role of the European Union on the international stage after the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Many member states say, listen, we have to be less dependent on the US. We need to strengthen our resilience. However, we have to add that the leaders are not on the same page what it means in concrete terms for the future of the European Union.
VW Brussels Bureau Chief Alexander van Namen in Kranji, Slovenia. Thank you very much, Alexander.